The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good Friday morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We got about 24 minutes to go until the start of trading. Still got a little bit of allergies getting me going occasionally throughout the day, but sometimes they get me a little stuffed up, especially in the mornings recently. Right now, we kick things off with some bank earnings, man. Decent earnings from J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, Citi, some others that we'll go over. Markets positive territory. Dow leading the way right now, up 175 points. That's 0.5%. You see the acceleration this morning on a couple of those earnings plays, up to 34,763. You're up by about 0.5%. If the NASDAQ 100 barely in the red by 4 points this morning, 15,707. The S&P's up by 6, trading at 45.49, and you get the Russell barely in the red as well. We jump over to crude. 76.60. We were up to 77 at the end of the session yesterday. Crude been very resilient recently. You jump over to the gold contract. Gold off about $5 at 19.58. We jump to notes and bonds. You get the 10-year right now. You're down by 10 ticks. You see that little bit of acceleration even since about 8 a.m. this morning. We were at 113. We're at 112.23 right now in the 10-year. You jump over to the 30-year. Down about 12 ticks at 126.20. And you jump over to the dollar index right now. Pretty remarkable how this thing just continues lower. We're getting a little bit of a lift today, but things in context. Right towards the end of my program yesterday, we were breaching that 100 mark, and we are still under that level. We made it all the way to 99.57. We are trading right now at 99.95 in that dollar index. You jump over to the euro. Euro above 112. We made it to 112.44. You jump over to the yen. We talk a little bit of currencies. A little bit of a counter-trend bounce from what's been happening recently in the yen, right? You talk about a pullback from 145 to 137. We're bouncing a bit to 139 almost on the dollar yen. We jump over to the VIX this morning. Volatility index, 1369. Not much getting in the way of this market as we're coming into a weekend, man. We're coming into the middle of July, and let's jump to some of those banks. Let's jump to some of the headlines. Boy, you talk about some numbers, man. Net interest income, $21.8 billion. Over 90 days. Absolutely remarkable, J.P. Morgan, when you think about it, right? And check it out, quarter by quarter, that's a record, folks, and look at the acceleration, right? Pretty staggering, though, that you're talking about. They're getting $14 billion no matter what, right? As in you come into 2019, 2020, they're making $14 billion off net interest income. That number dips and then accelerates, and we're talking about record territory, 21.78. I think Wells Fargo, we'll jump to them. What are they at? 13.2 billion in net interest income. When you talk about J.P. Morgan, how about 87 billion is their full year guidance for net interest income? That is quite a business, man. $87 billion just on net interest income. Rates are high, and they're capitalizing on that margin for sure. So J.P. Morgan, they come in 41.3 billion in revenue. 21.8 of that in the net interest income. They had First Republic in there as well, so that was a gain in there as well. Credit losses for J.P. Morgan, 2.9 billion, and they had a net build of 1.5 billion and 1.4 billion in net charge-offs. Are some of those numbers as they build a bit for some defaults. I think it was Wells Fargo talking about in here. Which one was it? No, Citi. That's the one talking about higher credit card balances. Let's pick up Citi. We're going to jump to these. Were all in the positive too as we kick things off. We jump over to J.P. Morgan this morning. There's a pop for you. They're up about $4 to 152. We jump over to Citi. They're higher as well to 48.32 right now from a close of 47.68 yesterday. We jump over to Wells Fargo. Up almost $2 to 45.29. Is it BlackRock? Yeah, they're up with their numbers as well. BlackRock basically unchanged right now. We'll jump over to them as well. Boy, they got some money under management, man, when you talk about BlackRock. Jumping back to Citi, though, for a moment. Higher interest rates and larger card balances set the stage for an 11% jump in revenue for Citi from U.S. personal banking in the second quarter. They had a 78% surge in write-offs tied to consumer loans, right? Cherry picking some data, but you can see that there is a strain on this economy to some certain degree. You had a rise in expenses, jumping 9% to $13.6 billion. Not surprising there on the front in terms of rising expenses, but nonetheless, good numbers, man. And you kick off bank earnings, right, in a big way. JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, all trading higher. BlackRock, $9.4 trillion. How about it, man? Their assets rise to $9.4 trillion now. ETFs is quite a business, man. And yeah, you talk about a run. I mean, they're capitalizing off every percentage in this market, folks. And you just got to jump around to some of these indices, man. I was talking about it yesterday. Got the NASDAQ 100 right now, up 40+% from the beginning of the year. 40% from the beginning of the year, folks. It's not even the end of July. Staggering returns on some of those indices. S&P itself is up, 750 points from where you started the year? Yeah, 20% on the S&P. Just remarkable run. So $9.4 trillion is what BlackRock has. And how about they have $9.4 trillion and the stock's unchanged on their numbers. Net flows into all the firm's funds, $80 billion for the second quarter. It's almost $1 billion a day, right? Long-term investment products, which include mutual funds and ETFs, added $57 billion. The market was looking for 81 there. Clients added $48 billion to the firm's ETFs. 35 to fixed income investments, and 23 to cash management products. Right? Interesting when you look at it in that perspective. Investors yanked $4.3 billion overall from equity products. The market was looking for $21 billion in inflows. So look how different the numbers were from what they were looking for, right? The market was looking for $21 billion added for equity, and they lost 4.3. Yeah. Yeah, so they had some misses there, and they're getting helped out a lot by the returns, not in the flows that are going on. Not a bad income, man. Rising 25% to $1.4 billion or $9.28 a share. Clients pulled almost $10 billion from active equity products and almost $4 billion from active fixed income investments, and withdrew $2.5 billion from liquid alternatives. But when you're dealing with $9.4 trillion, man, those don't seem like big numbers, right? When you're dealing with $9.4 trillion, you're talking about tens of billions. Yeah, they add up to hundreds of billions. They add up to trillions. But $9.4 trillion, it's quite a number. But remarkable when you look at where the flows actually were. The flows were to fixed income products, and they were away from equities as this market accelerated higher. So yeah, they're helped immensely by the value of those ETFs increasing, but not necessarily the case with flows, especially to equities. So we got the NASDAQ 100 climbing back to basically flat right now. Let's jump around to some of the different equities. We jump over to Apple shares, basically flat, 190.23 for Apple. Microsoft gets an upgrade today. Forget by who, I got to take a look at it. I think the price tag was about $400. Microsoft up about $5 on that upgrade to $347. This thing's been on a tear, man. Look at this. Yeah, we got a recent high of 351, so you're going to open near 348 for Microsoft shares. We jump over to Google shares. Quite a day for Google yesterday. Google basically flat. Stay tuned, folks. We'll be coming back. We'll talk some other equities. We'll take a look at what we have going on coming into next week with earnings as well. Stay tuned. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them, using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years years' experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps right now. You're up by 6 points. NASDAQ 100 flat. The Dow getting a lift some of the bank earnings, 34,777. And we check back in on some of those equities. JP Morgan, quite a quarter, up by $4 this morning. And check it out. I think the move was about $4 on this thing. $3, so a little bit larger move even to the upside. The expected move, $3 for JP Morgan. You jump over to Wells Fargo. That's only $1.13 was priced into that equity. We're going to get a lift by about $1.50, so not far off from the expected move. You jump over to Citi. Citi is, what, up by less than $1. You jump over, they were priced in about $1.17, so somewhat near the expected move. So the banks all to the upside, though. You jump over to BlackRock. What were they pricing in? About a $16 move priced in, and they got no movement right now with a bid ask of 740 by 744 base. So slightly to the upside from where we're trading at for BlackRock. All right, what else we got pulled up? We'll talk a little bit of interest rates. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit of Bitcoin. Let's take a look at this one, because this was an interesting one yesterday. So XRP, Ripple, the coin surges after the judge delivers a huge win to Ripple in the SEC case. Interesting to see what ramifications it could have, talking about basically that it is not necessarily a security on its face. That's going to be a huge one, man, when you think about the Securities and Exchange Commission. SEC literally has the word security in the name of the administration. And yeah, I wonder how this is going to reverberate. Does it get challenged? Does it get appealed? Does it go to a higher court? I don't know. But if this is how things start to get settled, yeah, you saw Ripple trading up 71% yesterday. It's not a security. That's a big deal in terms of regulations and what they can do to regulate something that is not considered a security. What's interesting here is that, and they're talking about by judging that Ripple's not a security, we're starting to get clarity on what constitutes a security and what constitutes a commodity. The SEC will have to revise their tactics on several of their ongoing cases, and I expect that this judgment will implicate several other tokens as non-securities. You'd have to agree on it, right? We're going to jump to Coinbase, trading higher a bit on that news. They had previously delisted Ripple on its trading platform, and it will now allow trading of the asset again. Gemini said it's exploring listing Ripple yet again, so Ripple gets a huge acceleration. But the ramifications going forward is what's most interesting. Now, I was trying to get to the part, that this is what I want to cover. So what's interesting here is that how they come about that it's actually a security only when it's somehow institutional in terms of the transactions, which doesn't quite make sense in that degree. It's not a clear-cut victory, as they say, okay? The notion that Ripple is plainly not a security is wrong. That's one partner. Still, he added, if I were a Ripple holder, I'd be happy. So short-term happy news, but not necessarily out of the woods, okay? The court sided with the SEC when it came to Ripple's institutional sales of XRP to sophisticated individuals and entities, saying they were securities, transactions, and constituted an investment of money. Ripple won when it came to programmatic sales, however, or sales made through trading algorithms, as well as other distributions. Having considered the economic reality and totality of circumstances, the court concludes that Ripple's programmatic sales did not constitute the offer and sale of investment contracts. Don't understand quite the difference there. If somebody could walk me through that even in the den, how do you differentiate the two? It's either a security or it's not. I mean, think about that to the degree of buying an option, buying an equity, buying a share. That becomes a little bit clouded, to say the least. So that is the ruling, but nonetheless, Ripple, of course, surges higher on that news, and probably good news for Coinbase as well, man. And there's your acceleration, right? You talk about it. How about that? $25 to the upside, folks. You're talking about almost a 30% acceleration from 85 to 110 for Coinbase. This thing's been on a rip-roaring rally. You're talking about 100% in a month, 100% in a month, right? Getting into some lofty territory, though. In terms of what are we back to? We're back to that spike high we had in August of 2021. We made it all the way up to 116. Well, we're at 107 right now. Interesting stuff, to say the least. Jump over to Bitcoin this morning. BTC. And as you see, a little bit of an acceleration for sure yesterday on that news. Okay, 30,800 to 32. But no real acceleration. I mean, you're just back to where we were trading at basically on Wednesday on Bitcoin prices with a pretty dramatic ruling, but not really impacting Bitcoin, it looks like. But this thing's been on a tear as well. I'd be careful over at Coinbase, man. You're going to get into crypto, get into some crypto stored in a hard wallet. I wouldn't be trusting Coinbase with my wallet, that's for sure. All right, what else we got pulled up here? Yeah, this one is an interesting one, man. Actors go on strike in new blow to struggling Hollywood studios. The actors walk out will halt projects that skirted writers' strike. You're going to see this show up if this goes for a couple months, man. So you got writers and you got actors going on strike now. I saw a clip last night from the Actors Guild. Okay, somebody from the Actors Guild. It's very important to know where this information is coming from. That's their bias. This is a staged walkout, right? It's a strike. You're going to hear both sides representing how negotiations are going. But their versions of things, and this has a lot to do with AI, okay? Their versions of things stated, the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild, okay? First, you have the Screen Actors, 160,000 performers announced a walkout yesterday, failing to reach a new labor agreement with the motion picture and television producers. They represent Disney and Netflix, among many others. Okay, strike begins at midnight last night. And one of the things they mentioned to see how hard this is going to be going forward is that there was some type of AI offer, right? There was some type of AI, trying to see if they even reference it here. Okay, and there was an AI proposal from the producers to the screen actors talking about AI, the uses, and the revolutionary nature of it. And one example they gave is backup dancers, okay? If you're a backup dancer in some of the productions that they do, the offer that the producers had put out is that they would be able to scan that performance of background dancers, use that person's likeness, that person's entity for eternity, use that scan of them background dancing in any production they wanted to ever going forward. That person will get paid for one day for being a backup dancer, and their likeness, their person, their representation would be used forever by the producers and the AI computers as they scan that production, use that production going forward. You can understand how, as a performer, we are at a very interesting point for negotiations, and it doesn't mean they can't get a deal done now. Maybe they do something short term, but for the first time in 6 decades, writers and actors are on strike at the same time. So don't think, it won't be that big of a deal. Hasn't happened in 60 years, folks. 50, 60 years. You got writers and you got actors on strike at the same time. It's one thing writers being on strike. Now the actors are on strike. It's going to start mattering in terms of production, and that'll be interesting in terms of seeing how is this going to play into both, right? With both of them on strike, do they have a little bit more oomph, maybe, in terms of having a little bit more power behind them with both on strike? Because the writers have to like that the screen actors are now on strike. But yeah, when I saw that statement saying, yeah, of course, why wouldn't the producers, right? You want to own all the rights forever, because soon enough, it's just going to be like any other thing. If you have the data, AI can get the job done. So if you have the data, which is if you have all these different productions that you have over time, you have all this different film that you're producing, you can just start creating movies without even paying anybody to act using AI. Stay tuned, folks. We're coming back for the open. Markets in positive territory.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den, hosted at Discord. TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Sharpening your skills as an investor is like getting better at playing a musical instrument. You have to practice, sure, but you also need excellent instruction from experts. At TFNN, you'll get advice and guidance from the authority in technical market analysis. And it's not just dry, tedious text either. TFNN airs live financial content streamed live on TFNN.com and TFNN's YouTube channel with Tiger TV, live every market day from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. For free. Each host is an experienced trader and gives their take on the market while taking calls and questions live from around the world. From the moment the market opens until the closing bell sounds, Tiger TV has 8 different shows with expert hosts to help you make the right moves with your money. Watch online at TFNN.com or on TFNN's YouTube channel and become the investor you were born to be. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We got markets making recent highs. You're up at 45.52. We're 250 points away from all-time highs. NASDAQ 100 right now. You're higher yet again by about 0.2%. The Dow up about 0.5%. Russell on the negative by 4. You jump over to some of the banks. Let's see how we're trading. You got JP Morgan. We're up by $2.50. That's 1.7%. You give it back on the open just a bit on JP Morgan. You jump over to Wells Fargo. Still up 2.8%, but they were a bit higher as well. Citi up about 1%. You jump over to BlackRock, up about 0.4% on their numbers. Small move for BlackRock. Microsoft gets an upgrade. How are they doing? Up about 1.7% for Microsoft. Amazon, following their Prime Day this week, up by about 0.2%. Yeah, market's higher, man. You can't hold this market down. Russell barely in the red right now. And finishing up that story, I did find the quote of what I was talking about. Should have pulled this up ahead of time, just so I can introduce exactly who they were talking about. So you had Hollywood actors confirming that they were going on strike. And I believe the gentleman that I saw speaking, and I saw video of this, was Duncan Crabtree, Ireland, good old Ireland. Chief negotiator is, and that's the Screen Actors Guild. I'm not sure what AFTRA stands for. Let's see, maybe if they set it up here. But nonetheless, in a statement about the strike, okay, and this is just to illustrate, because you got some great points in the den here, saying, eventually they're not going to need humans. They're just going to have AI-generated superstars. Dan, agree. Probably not a matter of like if, but when, one of those types of scenarios. Although there's always going to be some room for actual human beings, I think. Okay, and maybe that's where the superstars, and maybe that's why the background dancers, that producers are well aware that they need humans to be superstars, the Tom Cruises of the world, etc. But you don't need backup dancers. You don't need to pay them. Nobody's going to care if they're AI-generated bots, right, or just scans from previous movies. So you have this gentleman up there, and he says that he revealed a proposal from the Hollywood studios that's sound ripped right out of a Black Mirror episode. This is how The Verge puts it either way. Now, in a statement about the strike, you had the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. That's the other side. That's the producers, okay? They were claiming and saying that, and I don't know what else is in this, so maybe there is greater things to their side in this that are fair, but they were claiming that they had a groundbreaking AI proposal that protects actors' digital likeness for those Screen Actors Guild members, okay? Well, when he was asked about that, he gave the example that I talked about, and here's how they propose it. They proposed that their background performers should be able to be scanned, get 1 day's pay, and their company should own that scan. Their image, their likeness should be able to use it for the rest of eternity on any project they want with no consent and no compensation. And so, yeah, he's saying if you think that's a groundbreaking proposal, I suggest you think again. Now you say, another great point. Who said in here? Yeah, Fletch, they'd have to go for a short-term deal. I agree on that as well. There's so much unknown. How do you contract out what to do with all this stuff when technology is rip-roaring every single year, right? Let alone every month, how fast things are moving. Now, Fran Drescher, the nanny, right? Isn't that the show? She is the president of the union. Let me jump around here from where we are. And what she's talking about here, okay, the use of generative AI has been one of the major sticking points. And that's also what's going on with the writer's strike, okay? And in her opening statement at the press conference, okay, what she said was, if we don't stand tall right now, we're all going to be in trouble. We're all going to be in jeopardy of being replaced by machines. So maybe they get that this is actually the moment. You start weakening your position in any way on AI, and maybe that opens the door to that complete shift to generative AI. And maybe they don't even want to let that door open to some degree. I don't know. That's a really tough negotiation, man. When you're trying to negotiate out, you don't know where it's going. But nonetheless, it's the first time it's happened in terms of the writers and the actors on strike at the same time. And the stakes are super high because just like you're saying, right? They want the ability to still have actors, but boy, they are going to want to control the likeness images that they can use for generative AI going forward. And just like that, you're going to have the actors knowing what they contain and trying to protect their likeness going forward. So it'll be interesting to see which side budges. We're in the summer right now, but it'd be a bummer if we start losing out on a bunch of programming. It'd be interesting to see how that potentially affects some of the streamers, right? Because check out Netflix, man. They just gave up $10 from where it was pre-market. You jump over to Disney. Disney's got their own deal going on. Quite the acceleration yesterday, down to 89 today. You drop a little bit lower as well. Let's see how those banks are holding up right now. JP Morgan, they almost give it all back, man. You're up by $2, up by 1.4%. Wells Fargo up by 2.5% right now. Citi actually in the red, rolling over. So next week we get Goldman Sachs. They're up a bit this morning. We get Morgan Stanley as well next week. They're up a bit. We get Bank of America next week. They're up by 1% so far this morning on the strong numbers from some of their peers. Let's see how we got the dollar index behaving. Yeah, just sitting under 100. This market's relentless, man, and I'm not sure that you're going to see anything get in its way when we got some strong bank numbers out there with the market continuing higher. S&P's up by 0.25 right now. All right. Let's see what else we got pulled up. Yeah, we talked about Ripple. Yeah, this one's an interesting one as well. Just from a humanity perspective, man, aspartame. Okay, World Health Organization, they're labeling it as a possible carcinogen. Now, this is, I believe, Equal is what it's, yeah. So introduced as a commercial product in 1981, sold under the brand names such as Equal. If anybody in the den knows what else that is that Splenda as well? I'm going to do some research on this because I do use some artificial sweeteners. I've been reading up on them more. Stevia is one of the healthier ones that I've started actually trying to use because it is plant-based. And what they go over here, okay, which is what I want to stress in the final minute of this segment, is that it's so tough to study something like this, right? You can't do a controlled study for something that is so pervasive everywhere because to control every variable is almost impossible. So there's been no conclusion. Some studies have suggested links, okay, and others have found no association. You have a study in last year, 2022, following the diets of more than 100,000 French adults over an 8-year period, people who consumed aspartame in an amount equivalent to less than a can of diet soda, 15% higher cancer risk compared to with non-consumers. And you can't control every variable, okay? It has a possibly carcinogic to humans, okay? And this is the part, why is the evidence clear? I mean, you can make your own assessments, folks. Artificial sweeteners in general, probably not the healthiest thing overall. Stevia is a plant, okay? Look it up. It is a plant. That's how it's done. It's a little bit different in terms of just playing with the chemical nature of some of these artificial sweeteners. But yeah, I would listen to some of this data, man, that they come out with. Some of that diet soda, we've all known not healthy for sure, even if it's just triggering those hunger abilities of diet soda, that sweetness in your brain. Stay tuned, folks. We'll talk some markets when we go back. We'll talk a little bit of poker as well. Stay tuned.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The Gold Report. As a precious metal, gold is still king. It continues to hold the most effective safe haven and hedging properties across the global major trading hubs of the London OTC market, the U.S. futures market, and the Shanghai Gold Exchange. The Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his weekly gold report every Monday morning for subscribers, consisting of coverage of the XAU, HUI, GDX, the dollar, bonds, the South African rand, as well as 25 different mining equities with specific buy-sell recommendations. The Gold Report. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. Subscribe to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report newsletter now at TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps up by 12 points, 45.55. You got the 10-year right now, negative by 7 ticks, 112.26. But boy, it's been quite a run. You take this thing back on a daily basis. Yeah, you only got to go back to Monday when we were trading at 110, man. Almost 3 full points higher right now. And you jump over, that's going to put the 10-year right now, we're dealing with a yield of 3.78%, 3.79 almost percent. 787 is the exact, 3.787. So we'll call it 3.79%. We're under 3.8. Remarkable. We were just over 4 no time ago. The 2-year, pretty dramatic reversal as well. And I talk about rates because you jump over Fed Governor Christopher Waller, making a lot of sense here. So the Fed governor argues past tightening has already had its effect. Says we'll need 2 more interest rate hikes to contain inflation. I wouldn't say that's exactly what he put out there, okay? It says it should be we could. I see 2 more 25 basis point hikes in the target range over 4 remaining meetings this year as necessary to keep inflation moving toward our target. That's what he said in remarks prepared yesterday, okay, for a dinner hosted by money marketeers of New York University. I see no reason why the first of those 2 hikes should not occur at our meeting later this month. He's talking about the meeting that's happening in less than 2 weeks, July 25th and 26th, okay? After answering questions, Waller pointed out that the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics is going to publish 2 more CPI reports between the Fed's current meeting in July and when they meet in September. I've been talking about this, right? We're only getting 1 month of data between the June and July meeting, which is June data. But we get 2 full months of data. We get the CPI. You get non-farm payrolls in there. You're going to get jobs. You're going to get wages. Okay. You're going to get 2 full months of data, including CPI, between July and September, because you're going to get July numbers and you're going to get August. He suggested good news could lead the central bank to cease rate hikes after this month. There's a lot of discussion out there about not so much the next meeting, but the September meeting. What I'm trying to say is the September meeting is a live meeting, and it depends on the data. Well, that should be an obvious statement to a certain degree, right? If they paused in June and they hiked in July, and we get 2 months of data between July and September, you got to believe it's live because we don't know what the data is going to say. If the data looks like we're making progress, we'll get 2 more CPI reports. If they look like the last 2, the data would suggest maybe stopping. The flip side of that is if it doesn't, maybe they have to hike in September, right? So we'll see where they go. We're probably getting a hike in less than 2 weeks, and then we're going to be data dependent, and we'll see where those numbers come. And we're going to get 2 full months of data. We're going to get July. We're going to get August. And we get a whole earnings cycle as well, right? We get an entire earnings cycle that just kicked off with the banks over that period of time as well. So we're going to have so much more data before that September meeting. Keep your mind open to what's going to happen because it's going to be data dependent. All right, let's talk a little bit of poker. Why not, man? The World Series is going on. I enjoy the World Series of Poker, and they're playing down for $12.1 million. And, yeah, this gentleman here, I'm not going to be able to say his name, man. Macaris is the last name. Juan Macaris. Macaris, maybe? He entered the day second in chips, and boy, he crushed it. He is sitting right now at $100 million in chips. Let me get the line up there. $108 million to be exact. Now, there are 15 players left in the tournament. Okay, they all put up $10,000 to play. They've been playing for almost 2 weeks at this point, even though this is going to be day 8, because you have 4 day 1s, you have 2 day 2s. So by the time you're playing day 3, it's actually the 7th day that the tournament has been running if you played the first day, if that makes sense. So they're on day 8 tomorrow. 15 people remain. If you average out the chip stacks, the average chip stack is about 40 million chips, okay? Of course, you got 108 million up top, so you got plenty of people in 21, 27. If you understand poker, pretty sure they're coming back to a big blind of about 600,000. Let me scroll up and check this out. Yeah, the big blind is about 600,000, so that's the forced bet they have to pay. So if you had 6 million chips, you would have 10 big blinds. If you got 12 million chips, you got about 20 big blinds, which is a stack that's somewhat maneuverable. You can still get people to fold sometimes if you go all in, usually 10 to 20 big blinds. The chip leader up there, 135 big blinds, quite a number. Yeah, so they play down today. Pretty sure they're probably going to play down to the final table, the final 9, and you got 12.1 million up top on that number, and you got 6 million to second place. I was listening to a podcast last night, and they were talking about there's been some talk of the pay in this tournament, okay? Let me just pull up the payouts real quick. And what they talked about is usually in past years, okay, if you made the final table, you made $1 million. And they probably should have done that because it's the biggest tournament ever. They had done it in final years, and the tournament has the discretion, okay, to alter the payout slightly. And so they didn't decide to do it this year, which was whatever. You still make $900,000 if you make the final table. But there's probably enough money in the prize pool. Okay, let's see how much money they have in the prize pool. $93,399,900. Okay, 10,043 players, 15 are left. 40 million is the average chip stack. You got 602 million total chips in play. So the guy who's winning it right now has got 108 million. He's got to multiply his chip stack by almost 6 times to win the tournament. So you see that all along the way, man, there's a long way to go still at 15 people if you're going to be the winner. Of course, you have a huge advantage with a big chip lead like that to put the pressure on these people for the pay jumps. But nonetheless, they have a long way to go. Now, here's what's interesting, though. The payouts are remarkably up top, as in you make $900,000 for 9th, right? And meanwhile, the winner gets $12 million. You've outlasted 10,030 people. You only got 10 more people, and you got quite a divergence. Now, top heavy is what they always are, but I just walked you through that that's about 18 million is between the first 2 players, okay? And the total prize pool is about 93 million. So what is that percentage-wise? What, 22% something? 18 million divided by the 93. Yeah, it's about 19.4% of the prize pool is these 2 players up top. Okay, you want to hear something crazy? And I'll have to pull out the payouts for Moneymaker. Maybe I'll do it next. So 20 years ago, when Moneymaker played and won in Vegas, okay, he was battling Sammy Farha, for all you poker aficionados that have seen that clip play a million times on the World Series of Poker. So you got the novice Chris Moneymaker playing the seasoned pro Sammy Farha. They make it heads up in the World Series. Moneymaker runs a bluff on Farha. He gets it through. I think it was like within the next hand or even the next few hands. Moneymaker catches 2 pair or something like that and busts Farha and wins it, and the poker revolution begins by a novice by the name of Moneymaker becoming the world champion. Well, that year when Moneymaker won, they had nothing like 10,000 people, okay? But that year that Moneymaker won, between his prize and Farha's prize, the top 2 prizes were 50% of the prize pool. It was super top heavy. So you had, I think, the winner getting like 32% and second place getting 18% of the prize pool, something like that. In this case, folks, that would mean that the 2 places here would get something like, what, $46 million combined, and they're getting 18. Interesting, nonetheless, talking about it, talking poker. Nonetheless, you got 15 people, all guys. A lot of guys play poker for whatever reason. There were a couple women left up until about the final 50 people or so, but 15 gentlemen coming back to play out to reach the final table today, and it'll take them about 3 or 4 days to get into that 12.1. All right, folks, stay tuned. We'll come back. We'll take a look at some of the other equities coming up with their earnings next week. We got markets continuing to climb. S&P's up by 12. One more segment. We'll be right back, folks.
TFNN has just launched their new trading room, the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. And now they are expanding their reach with the Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. In the Tiger's Den, you can look over the shoulders of Tom O'Brien and the other TFNN hosts while they analyze charts during their live Tiger TV programs, and join an interactive trading community with hundreds of members exchanging ideas. Interact with other tigers and tigresses as they share trading ideas, news analysis, and discuss the market action all trading day, even at night and on the weekends. The Tiger's Den at Discord is accessible on mobile or tablets as well, so it's always at your reach. To sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders, just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You might think that if you want to be successful at trading in the stock market, you're going to need a crystal ball. After all, it's impossible to predict the future, right? Like any endeavor in life, before you decide it's impossible, get some advice from the experts. You might find that it's not so impossible after all. For daily market overviews that give you direction on the key indices, selective stocks, and commodities, subscribe to the Opening Call newsletter at TFNN.com. The Opening Call newsletter is written by Basil Chapman, creator of the trading methodology known as the Chapman Wave. The Chapman Wave up-down sequence gives you an edge in identifying price turns, finding the peaks and valleys in stock prices. Get the Opening Call newsletter by Basil Chapman in your inbox every day. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know, and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Everything in the universe is governed by the Fibonacci sequence. This mathematical principle is responsible for everything from the most aesthetically pleasing artwork to patterns in the stock market. To stay on top of stock patterns you can take advantage of, sign up for the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter at TFNN.com. When you subscribe, you'll get a weekly report from veteran day trader Larry Pesavento on stocks you need to pay attention to. And you can trust Larry's analysis. After all, he's got 45 years experience as a day trader. Larry will also provide daily charts, videos, and data on the key markets that he's tracking. Expect notifications from Larry on market movement you need to act on at any time. First-time subscribers also get a 30-day money-back guarantee. If you're not satisfied, let us know and you'll get a full refund within 30 days of signing up. Subscribe to the Fibonacci 24/7 newsletter today. TFNN.com, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We got United Health out with their numbers as well. Strong numbers, up about 6.2%, man. You take a look at this thing, though. It's been hammered recently. 558. We started the year at 531. You came into those numbers at, 450 or so, right near the lows that we had recently. Let's back this up even a little bit further on a 5-year weekly. Yeah, and you're bouncing off that area that you've had support at, though, right at 450, man. You're up today, up 6.2%. Some strong numbers for United Health. We check out some of the banks digesting their numbers, man. JP Morgan giving back some of those gains, still up 1.6%. Wells Fargo up 2.2%. Citi, they roll over negative by about 0.8%. You had BlackRock out with their numbers as well, down about 0.7%. Checking out some of those streamers. Netflix shares, little volatility, still in the positive by about 0.5% so far. And Disney to the downside, off about 0.9%. I wonder if they're digesting some of that data, man. Because, boy, it might be a dusty one. You never know how negotiations are going to go, man. And, this might be the time for the writers and for the actors to really stick it if they can hold out. Because it seems like a pivotal turning moment with AI at the rip-roaring front of everything going on. We talk about that, man, and check out some of, Microsoft gets an upgrade today. they're up by 1.5%. Google charging higher by 1.5% as well. Meta shares flat. The big dog Apple basically flat after opening lower at about 190. Yeah, remarkable to see where it goes forward, man. So we get Goldman Sachs next week. They're a little higher with the banks as the banks give it back. Morgan Stanley's next week as well, up 0.4%. We got Bank of America with their numbers up by about 0.4%. It's going to be an interesting one, man. This today, though, you talk about, look at this week, man. This is just a straight line to higher prices, man. 44.17 was where we were to open the week. And we're finishing the week about 3% higher almost on a weekly basis on the S&Ps. You get the NASDAQ trading from 15,000. We almost had 800 points from the lows of Monday, NASDAQ. Folks, thanks for starting your day with me. Stay tuned. We got our man Basil Chapman. He is coming up live next. Live programming after that. Have a great Friday, folks. Have a safe weekend. No drunk driving out there. Be safe. We'll see you back here Monday. Stay tuned for Basil. Have a great one.